Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Fantasy Empire. Chrissy V, Chris Vaccaro. I'm Nando Di Fino. I think we did that right. Chris. How you doing?
Nando, nice little new introductory song to bring us in.
Yeah.
I like it, right?
All right, feels
And
good,
let's
right?
let's get. Let me just say this, Nando. We missed you here, buddy. The last
Thanks.
bunch of weeks, the last month, show wasn't the same without you. Theo and Matt held it down for you, but as I've gotten plenty of DMs and texts asking where my boy Nando was, you are officially back, and I know you went through some rough times the last month, family-wise, but I'm happy to have you back. I missed you, and I know our listeners did too, so I won't get all sappy on you, but
I was going to say you had to be nice about it. Now I can't make a joke. Yeah, so thanks.
No. Now that I got that out of the way, you could go back to ripping on me and everything and ripping on each other, and let's be, do our usual thing.
I respect you more than at least 40 other fantasy analysts out there. So it's good to be back. Yeah, at least.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Chrissy V. All right, let's
Nando,
get into this,
Nando, while you were gone, there was a lot of shitty football played. I can tell you that much. The fantasy world. You did? Oh, I'm sure you were locked in, knowing you. And, this past week 6 was an absolute shit show, Nando. The low scores across the board. And I'm sure all the people that are listening in their leagues, they saw the low scores in their box scores. It was ugly. Every position, we're dealing with injuries left and right. The running back position is garbage. There's nobody left. The quarterbacks suck. And it's brutal out there. And guess what? Yeah, not to be all ho-hum, but guess what? Week 7 isn't going to be that much better, I don't believe, because it's by Mageddon.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we're good enough to get by that, right?
I like to believe so, but you know what, Nando? You say that. I have this feeling this week, like there's just not much we can do certain times. When you lose this many amount of players on your fantasy roster and you're playing in deep leagues, there's only so much you can do. At some point, it's like, all right, well, I mean, I'm down to my 5th and 6th running back that I'm bringing off my bench into my starting lineup.
Right.
That I'm hoping to get like 6 to 8 fantasy points from. I mean, what's the expectations? I have teams that I lost, 4 out of my top 8 round picks. Unless you hit home runs in rounds 10 and later this year, the scores are going to be low. Your teams are going to take a hit. And it's becoming a game of survival already as we enter week 7. It's I hate to say the skill is out of it, but it's just a matter of how healthy you are.
I think there's all right, like take Zach Evans, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not segueing into anything that I don't think anyone would normally segue into, but what's the difference between him and Royce Freeman, right? There's got to be a skill there. And there's got to be a skill there in being like, how much do I want to put on Zach Evans? Because Kyren Williams could be back relatively soon. It's like he'll be back at some point, so Evans's value is going to go away. I need to beat the other person who's trying to bid on Zach Evans. Will he be a fit? Like, will he even are we going to have a Damian Williams 2.0 situation where it's Royce Freeman who is the guy?
That's my fear.
But that's the skill. I mean, that's the skill that I think.
Listen, we just saw this in Arizona. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Damian Williams.
There's too much, and we just came off of a fab week last week where we all blew so much 30-40% of our money on Demarcado of Arizona. And like you said, now all of a sudden you show up and Keontae Ingram gets 10 carries and Damian Williams mixes in with 8 carries. Demarcado gives you 2 fantasy points. And for all the money you blew on him, it was a complete bust. Now we're facing the same thing with Zach Evans in this backfield again, Nando, this week. The news broke today that, a couple hours ago that Kyren Williams is looking like it's going to be more than 1 week. And it's looking more likely that we're not going to get him back until after week 10. Kyren Williams has been, along with Raheem Mostert, the 2 biggest home run picks on the draft board late this year from rounds 10 and later. I guess you could throw Thielen in. He was like borderline right there. But Kyren Williams was RB4.
Why don't you spell Thielen for everybody before we get any further?
Thielen.
Oh, look at that! Oh, gold
Did I nail
star. Good
I told you,
star.
I only spell it wrong in our article on purpose every week just to piss you off. But anyway.
Great, now spell Keontae.
Oh, Keontae. Keontae.
There's a hidden A. There's a hidden A in there, man.
Listen, Zach Evans is going to go for a lot of money, Nando, and it's not because we believe so much, or fantasy players are going to be like, oh my God, I believe in this Zach Evans so much,
right?
Because we haven't seen much of him. It's just we're desperate as fantasy players. You know, we just lost Montgomery on top of Kyren Williams. Who knows about CMC this week? Teams are decimated along with all the other injuries that, you know, through the weeks that we're dealing with. So we just need players to come in, hopefully get, 10, 15 points. And we're just trying to survive these weeks. So, Zach Evans is going to go for a lot of money tonight. And whether it's the right move or not, I don't have the answer to that, honestly. But I will say this,
everybody.
No, I know it's terrible.
Enjoy your week.
I wish I had the answer, the definitive answer for our.
But logically, walk us through this though.
You're buying into the offense. I'll say this, Nando. You're buying more into the offense and the opportunity because we just saw Kyren Williams come off of a game where he had 25 carries, and there's a big void there. Okay, they can't just drop Stafford back 40 times and let him fire and give the running backs, 7 carries or less. So Zach Evans is the next man up. You have to assume, okay? But is it going to be one of these situations just like Chicago, right? Your boy, Deontay Foreman last week. The game starts, we thinking with Roshan Johnson out and obviously Khalil Herbert on IR, that Foreman was going to get, oh my God, he's going to get 25 touches. No one else is going to see the ball. He's going to be on the field 90% of the time. And what happened? First quarter, you see Darrington Evans in there. Darrington Evans wasn't even, he just came out off the street for
Evans
Chicago and into the mix. Well, is that one of your guys now, Nanda?
Yeah, he's always
Darrington Evans.
Darrington Evans. Weird. Darrington Evans and Foreman
really
both came
crazy.
from Tennessee.
Ah, very nice.
You don't care.
Good for you.
You don't care about any of this.
No.
Yeah, this is fresh in my mind. I know it's not on your rundown, but
Mm-hmm.
You said it was good to have me back, and I think this is why. This Atlanta Tampa Bay game, right?
Yeah.
It's got the lowest, or maybe like right now the second lowest. It's flip-flopping between the 37.5 and 38 with the Chicago game.
Sure.
I feel like at some point, first, it's a weird matchup, right? Because like I counted, you get like 5 playmakers in this game. Atlanta hasn't used them yet, but Atlanta still has like 3 games of 400 plus yards. But you know what I mean? Like I think we're like Atlanta sucks, but they have 400-yard games up their butts, and then like 2 300-yard games from Ritter in a row, and they haven't really unleashed. They haven't unleashed their guys yet. And Tampa Bay's got 2 stud wide receivers, and Evans is off the injury report now. I feel like that 38 is low. And if this is like really like a 47 or even a 50-point game, there's fantasy stuff for all of us here. Like maybe this is the week that Atlanta decides to unleash Drake London,
Well, I mean, Drake London was unleashed last week, and he's starting to come around. A couple good games in a row, and it's nice to see Drake London 11 targets last week, 9 catches, 125 yards. It's finally finally getting your money's worth out of your 3rd or 4th round Drake London selection. The problem is Ritter. And even though he threw for 300 plus again last week, he looks like total shit, Nando. And, now he's going on the road into Tampa. This Tampa defense is pretty good, and they just held Detroit to 20 points. But I see what you're saying. There are weapons around, on both sides of this. But another game where a total is less than 40 again. And that's a common theme for week 7 is all these 1:00 games on this Sunday are under 40. If you go straight across the board, it's really, really bad. You have the Browns and Colts are 39 total. The Falcons, Bucks, like you said, 38.5. Raiders, Bears, another shit show game, 37.5. The Giants and the Commanders are under 40. The Bills, Patriots should be under 40. They're like barely hanging on, like a 41 total. So it's just ugly totals, ugly football. And what it all amounts to, Nando, is the terrible play we're seeing from the quarterbacks across the league. Even the elite ones are just struggling. And there was so many quarterback games last week where quarterbacks threw for under 200 yards or 1 touchdown. So it's really, really bad. Back to your Atlanta-Tampa Bay game, though, Nando. We got to see more out of Bijan, okay? I love the fact that he's running all these routes. And trust me, that's great. He every week he chips in 4, 5, 6 catches. He's running a crazy amount of routes that you want to see for a running back. But I can't as a Bijan first or early second round drafter see Tyler Algier getting 13 carries and Bijan getting 13 carries. It's total night and day when you see these two play explosion wise. You know, Arthur Smith's got to wake up and turn this backfield completely over to Bijan over Algier to make it like an 80-20 type of split here. But
does he?
You know.
Does he, though? I mean, I think he knows what he has.
He keeps saying, right? Listen, you know, I'll tell you this much. I thought, you know, the plan, you know, and Arthur Smith had mentioned it, like, listen, we can't give it all on Bijan's plate, like, early in the season. So I thought slowly throughout the season, it would start turning over. And I thought we were seeing that, like, in week 3, Bijan's totally, like, played higher amount of snaps than Algier and everything. But this past week, like I said, it kind of went back to Algier being, like, 50-50, you know, with them in terms of carries. So they don't want to overwork Bijan, but it's time. You know, we're in week 7. The kids adjusted to the league. The talent discrepancy is huge. Okay. If you want to bring Algier in for every third or fourth series for a couple plays to give Bijan a rest, that's one thing, but they got to open up this offense a little bit. And I just don't think that this offense will be what it can totally be until they sit Ritter down and go to Tyler Heineke.
I mean, it bothers me that, like, all of a sudden everyone's crapping on Algier when, like, you know, 16 months ago, Algier's got to start, man. Cordell Patterson sucks. Algier's got to be the starter. And I remember it with David Montgomery. And I can't remember, like, off the top. Man, I wish you remember who he was, like, trying to supplant in Chicago. But it was like, we got to start Montgomery, man. Montgomery's amazing. And the guy ahead of him sucks. And it's just like everyone just wants to start this new shine. And now Montgomery's on Detroit. And like, oh, we got to start Gibbs over Montgomery because Montgomery sucks. And it's like no one can just sit around and be like, oh.
Well, nobody's saying Montgomery sucks anymore.
Not right now, but I mean, they were.
But
like,
that was definitely the chatter all summer long with a lot of fantasy analysts. Nando was, you know, Montgomery's just a guy. He's just a jag. And, you know.
But they weren't saying that, like, you know, 2 years ago when they wanted him to take over the Chicago job. Like, what happened?
Listen, man, what happens is, you know, average players sometimes look a lot better in better situations and a lot worse in worse situations. And, you know, maybe that's the case now. I mean, Montgomery looks great in Detroit against, you know, behind a great offensive line and a really good team. And in Chicago, when he was playing with terrible quarterbacks and terrible offensive lines, you know, he'd show glimpses of talent, but most of the time it was, you know, bad performances, which got his, you know, where he got his reputation from.
What's going to happen in Detroit this week, Chris? We're going to get on this, and then we're going to give a nod to our sponsor, and then we'll come right back.
Yeah, Detroit, you know, they've reeled off a bunch of good wins here. They're 5-1. They go into Baltimore here. They're facing a pretty good team in Baltimore without Montgomery. And it looks like we still don't know because Detroit hasn't, you know, Gibbs hasn't practiced yet. But today will be a big day to see if Gibbs is back on the field. If Gibbs is on the field today for practice, I think they'll be okay. Gibbs will take over the backfield probably on a 60-40 split with Craig Reynolds. I don't think they'll give Gibbs, you know, 15, 20 carries right off the bat. He'll mix in with Reynolds. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see today's practice report to see how much they're going to bid on Reynolds, because if Gibbs isn't back and he's not ready yet, then Reynolds will be the second highest fab bid guy tonight after Zach Evans. But if Gibbs is back on the practice field, then, you know, lower those Craig Reynolds bids tonight.
I'm trying to pull up CBS Sports.
But you got to love this Detroit. You got to love this Detroit offense. You got to love this Detroit offense.
Oh, it's fantastic. Right? Yeah.
Now,
of course.
You know,
it's also Jared Goff.
Jared Goff was one of the answers at quarterback if you waited on quarterback, he could carry your fantasy team this year. No doubt about that. But now that you brought in Jameson Williams into this offense, he had a nice touchdown catch. He's getting more acclimated with the system. I think his role will keep growing week by week. Josh Reynolds is playing a nice secondary role in the receiver room to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's completely lived up to his mid-first round billing and draft spot. 12 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown on 15 targets. He's everything you wanted in a first-round draft pick. So and it was great to see him come back after 1 week. I thought we were going to lose him for multiple weeks, but he steps right in there. Laporta guts it out. He has an 11-target game off of the calf injury issue that he was dealing with midweek that put us all into a panic late in the week. But the offense is humming. I just wish Montgomery didn't go down. I don't think we'll see Montgomery, Nando, until week 10. They have a week 9 bye. He's dealing with some rib cartilage or, probably some bruised ribs. I hope they're not broken. But, he's not going to play this week. You have to figure when you see a week 9 bye for the Lions, Nando, they probably hold him out a second week. This team is going to cruise to a division title. They'll probably hold him out in week 8. So he can get the week 9 bye.
What's Thanksgiving? Week 11?
Week 13.
Week 13, man.
Week 13, I believe. Either 12 or 13.
It's like a month away. How does that math work?
Week 12 or 13. Right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, break out your toes too, Nando.
No, it's like, this is week 7, and it's like the 20th, right? So like the 27th is 8.
Week 9 is the 5th. The 12th
is 9. The 19th. So what's 13? Wow, you're right. All right.
Yeah. There it is.
So
it has been 2 years since Josh Larkey paved the way for fantasy gamers to start expecting positive returns from pick'em games, specifically underdog pick'ems. And how do you do it? Well, you look at the slate and you find a great shootout or a sneaky shootout. You also look for a shit show game. 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in one game. That's right. You can do it. You can do it. And you can 100x your payout on Underdog. Think about week 1. Jets-Bills was a shit show. Did we see the Aaron Rodgers injury coming? No, but we knew the Jets have a good defense. We knew the Bills have a good defense. Why not expect the worst? And the worst is what we got. So if you had gone Dalvin Cook less than, Garrett Wilson less than, Aaron Rodgers less than, Josh Allen less than, Gabriel Davis less than, boom, 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 boom. You can go 6 for 6. Same thing in week 2. Oh, week 2. Oh, sneaky shootout there in Philadelphia. Minnesota's going to be in comeback mode, so we'll go Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, more than. Madison, less than. But also, Swift, more than. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you do it with the Underdog Pick'ems, and you use promo code UNDERWORLD to get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, Underdog matches that deposit up to $100 with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go start picking.
All right, Nando.
Yeah. Come on. Look at you waiting for the bell like you're supposed to.
Oh, man.
How about that? All right. We talked about Detroit. What do you want to say? I mean, I know you like to dictate these things, and I feel like I'm taking us in a bunch of directions that you don't want to go.
No, I want to go any direction you want. We're here to talk. It's your you're in the host chair, buddy. You got to dictate it.
Christopher J, let me tell you something that I got in a little before I left a couple weeks ago. We re-ranked the quarterbacks.
And
I put Justin Herbert lower than I took a lot of crap.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah,
I don't think it was.
No, it was terrible.
But look,
tell the people what you did. Tell the people what you did, Nando.
I got it.
See, I think you like to. I think you like
no,
to.
I don't like
feathers.
To no,
you do.
I don't.
You like to stir the pot. No, you do.
I don't like to stir
That's
the
what
pot.
you do. You'll always throw out a crazy ranking just to get the people going. You're like,
I don't care. No, because then I have to answer that.
Crazy man. It gets the people going. That's you.
No, that's not my at all.
Tell the people what you did with your Justin Herbert ranking.
I put Justin Herbert outside the top 12.
Ridiculous.
All right, what did he do this week? Like
Ludicrous.
197 and a touchdown?
What? Justin Herbert was one of 3 quarterbacks that went over 26 fantasy points in NFFC scoring, just so you know. I know you didn't watch. Yeah, you're laughing.
I write to the people with a 4.
You're laughing. Listen, dude,
Look at this.
Come on.
Look at NFFC scoring. No one even knows what NFFC is.
Okay. Nando, for you to have Justin Herbert
scored
outside
17
your top
points.
12. Okay.
227, 2 touchdowns, interception. He had to throw 37 times.
And he ran.
Did he? Yeah, 6 for 20. So we got 2 points off of that.
I thought you actually froze. I
I want to screw with you.
Nando, rest of season, Justin Herbert's a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
He doesn't have Mike Williams.
He
sucks without Mike Williams.
I wish he had Mike Williams. He'd be a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
He was
my favorite quarterback coming into this season, along with Trevor Lawrence, who I currently hate. We'll get on him in a minute. But Justin Herbert, listen, yeah, he lost Mike Williams, but listen, he just got Austin Eckler back in. That's probably a 17 dump-offs every game.
It's a different coordinator, man. That was Lombardi. This is Kellen Moore is not a good offense. Like, I don't know why everyone thinks he's this great offensive coordinator. He wasn't good for Dallas.
Yeah. I still think that Justin Herbert is in an offense, even though it's Kellen Moore's and not Lombardi and not Lombardi's anymore. Yeah. He's a big time quarterback. They don't run the ball a ton. Okay. Eckler's not the type of running back that you're going to hand off to 15 times a game.
But maybe he is in the Kellen Moore offense.
Josh Palmer, the last couple of weeks, has done a nice job filling in, stepping up as a number 2 for Mike Williams here. He isn't Mike Williams, but they have the elite wide receiver 1 in Keenan Allen. And a lot of offenses cannot, as we see across the league, cannot, Don't
worry, I'm listening. Even though I'm moving my microphone to the other side.
Yeah, that's not annoying or anything for the people listening or in.
You can't hear anything.
Yeah, really?
It's silent. Yeah.
Anyway, listen, he's a top 5. Who would you rank? Who would you rank ahead of him?
Malik Willis.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I actually don't remember who I ranked. It's like I was a different person. I don't remember who
I can tell you right now, there's definitely not 12 quarterbacks that you would rank.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let me look it up. You just keep talking. I mean, yeah, like I have to tell you to keep talking.
No, listen, I'll tell you another quarterback that's a real disappointment. Who would you rather have the rest of the season?
Trevor Lawrence a big disappointment?
No. Who would you rather have the rest of the season after seeing the first 6 weeks? Would you rather have Justin Herbert or Pat Mahomes?
Well, actually, I had Pat Mahomes lower than most people did too because of that. Yeah. And you know what? I think
it's a shit offense. It's a terrible, terrible
Eric Bieniemy
offense.
Was the answer.
I mean, listen, I don't know about that, but I could tell you this much. I don't know if we've ever seen a team who is like a really good team. I mean, is this team like a running team and a defensive team all of a sudden, the Chiefs? Are they like slowly transitioning to that type of team? They just played a 19-8 game versus a Denver Broncos team who was one of the worst defenses in football for the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
You come into a smash spot. You think Mahomes this is the game where he wakes up and he throws for 330 and 4 touchdowns against this Broncos defense. And he completely craps the bed. I know he threw for 305, but that was, those yards were made up on 2 long plays. He dropped one off to Jerick McKinnon, who went like 80. So the yards added up. But if you watch that game, which I know you did, Nando,
of course I did.
Mahomes is not getting it done. He's been one of the worst. This is so understated in the fantasy community right now. I think just because he was a second-round fantasy pick this year, at worst, third-round pick, and he's been, I want to say, close to a bust.
You know what I feel like? Remember this happened with it didn't really happen with the Patriots. It kind of did. Like year in and year out, outside of the Randy Moss year, we're kind of like, so who's the Patriots wide receiver you want? And there was really nobody. And it kept getting almost to the point where it was a joke. Like they wouldn't bring anybody in. They wouldn't like really try. I mean, not to knock on like Jacoby Myers or Kendrick Bourne or anything, but like by the last few years, like the Patriots just like bereft of players for. And I think that's what's happening with Kansas City. I mean, I like Rashee Rice. I think Kadarius Toney is turning out to be a bit of a mistake. But if you look at what
a mistake,
incomplete.
Listen, it's crazy that offense because we all drafted this summer. Someone's got to step up. So it's either got to be Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney. They were both going in the top 80 overall on the board because after Kelsey, it was like too big to fail, the offense. You're like, okay, somebody's got to be a legit, fantasy asset to us,
Right.
either Tony or Sky Moore. They've both been complete garbage and
Marquez
useless.
Valdez-Scantling isn't getting it done.
Oh my God. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, it's crazy. He's out on the field. He doesn't get any targets, gets no yards. He's like 3 points or less, like 4 weeks in a row. He's completely useless. There's nothing in this offense. It's Travis Kelce, which every week it boggles my mind how teams just don't focus in and take Kelce out of the game plan.
Man, Kelce's overexposed, huh?
Listen,
like every commercial I see everywhere now, even on
joke.
Twitter, is like enough Travis Kelce, man.
It's no, the guy's got 42 commercials. You're right.
Everything. He'll just take he'll say yes to anything. He's thirsty.
It's listen, he's making that money, but it's true.
How much money could you possibly be making shilling for there's like almost like a local
We could say that, Nando, but
it's like the Hackensack Tire Company.
Who would turn down the money that this guy's getting thrown at him? But
it
is weird how every commercial is Travis Kelce now.
You do have to work. I mean, you think about that, man. There is such a thing as overexposure. Like people are going to get sick of seeing you all over. There's some stuff you can say no to, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. But back to fantasy. I mean, other than Isaiah Pacheco in this offense after Kelce, there's nothing. And the team's 5-1. They're they keep getting it done. Their defense, like I said, is good. But wow, give me rest of season. Give me Trevor. Give me Lamar Jackson. Give me Justin
how about
Herbert.
How about Geno Smith?
What about Geno? No.
Well, we had a
Geno
question about
Smith
Geno
over
Smith
Pat
or
Mahomes?
Brock Purdy.
Stop. Oh.
Well, you started naming some guys.
No, well, you're not even in the same. That's your one. You get 3 every show, Nando.
You want Geno or
That's
Purdy?
your first one.
Would you rather start Geno or Purdy this week?
Purdy for me. I do like Geno though to bounce back. At home versus Arizona, he's in a really good spot. But give me Purdy indoors. As long as we get positive news end of the week that Debo is going to be ready to come back and play in this game after leaving early, and it's trending that Debo should be okay to go Monday night, but that's a dream matchup. Give me Ayuk and Debo in the dome versus that Minnesota secondary. Purdy bounces back after a rough game on the road versus that Cleveland defense.
What you do with Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now? And I'm just thinking, like,
what would I do with him? He'd be on the waiver wire where he should be.
Okay, well, hear me out. Well, I guess maybe you could make the argument that McKinnon would be the guy if anything happened to Pacheco, but you could also make the argument that McKinnon's in a role and Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be the guy who would be the starting running back if something happened to Pacheco. So my benches now, say I got 6 spots, like 5 of them are running backs. I don't even mess with wide receivers anymore. Like I'm just handcuffed city right now the way the season's going. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually at a couple of my benches. I mean, because you don't know.
Listen, I'll give you that much. In today's fantasy running back landscape, Nando, guys like that should be your 7th or 8th running back on the end of your bench. Because if Pacheco goes down, I think Clyde would step in. I don't think it would be, a total McKinnon show. Who, by the way, McKinnon's been a total bust pick this year, which is surprising because after the finish he had last year, where he basically won people all the money. And in the last 5 weeks of the season, he was dropping 25, 30 fantasy points. So coming into the season, McKinnon was going off the board around pick 100, 110 for people that were like, hey, listen, I'm struggling at running back. Give me McKinnon as a nice PPR back. He'll give me 12 points every week. It's just not happening. He's like the forgotten man, and it's all Pacheco. But guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, end of bench guy. And you're right. That's how all my teams look right now. Like I'm good at receiver. I have like 6 receivers, rostered, where like 5 of them are really good and like an average 6th receiver, and then like 8 or 9 running backs, and 6, 7 of them aren't like playable guys. But I'm just waiting for situations to open up. My benches are loaded with like the Justice Hills of the world. Guys like every week, I'm just trying to see who's in the best position that I could stick in my RB2 spot, because there's not more than 15 running backs worth of shit right now, Nando, in fantasy. So it's really bad. And we're, like I said, every week we're dropping more and more. And then you wake up and it's week 7 and we got 6 teams on a bye. So you forget, take away the Joe Mixons of the world. Not that he's doing great. Breece Hall's on a bye and on and on. So, man, scores are going to be really low this week, Nando. Teams are going to struggle just to get a decent starting lineup in for this week. And here's an underrated part of a week like this, Nando. When you're in deeper leagues, whether it's at the high stakes level or...
Oh, you know what? We're not even live. I just realized I never started the stream.
Yeah, okay. Good try.
Sorry.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Funny. That was good. That's a typical Nando thing. That would have been typical you. Remember we did a whole podcast last year for like 90 minutes.
You didn't record. You didn't do it.
There was no recording.
Yeah, that was our fault. Our fault, everybody.
Oh, that's the worst. Anyway, last point on waivers, because it's a huge week for waivers. People are going to spend a lot of money just trying to get a decent starting lineup in. Because listen, Nando, teams that are 2-4, they're fighting for their life right now. They think that this is the end all be all, this week. Or you're 3-3, you're trying to there's this big swing. If I go to 3-4, now I'm fighting the rest of the year just to make the playoffs or get in my top 2 or 3 at the high stakes level. So we're at crunch time right now. Look for a lot of bad drops tonight. So if you're a team if you're a team that is off to a great start, 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, and you have somehow avoided injuries this first 6 weeks and your team's in good shape and you have a lot of your fab dollars left, don't spend them tonight because teams are going to make bad drops tonight just trying to be like, oh my God, I look up and I have 4 guys hurt and another 5 or 6 guys are on buys with these 6 teams that are on the bye. I got to drop this fringe wide receiver or fringe running back just to get somebody off the wire to bring into my starting lineup. I see a lot of teams, they got to drop their defense and their kicker, right? That's a pain in the ass to have to deal with. But the Jets defense, the Dallas defense, there's good defenses that you got to drop or make room for if you don't want to drop them. There's going to be good players available where there really hasn't been the last 4 weeks of the season. There really hasn't been that fab week where we're like, oh my God, I got to spend my money. So next week, I bet you look up and you see 2 or 3 guys that got dropped tonight that are, pretty nice bid worthy next week, where if you saved your dollars, you can spend next week.
Let me give you these are the most dropped players in CBS leagues because CBS, a lot of them run on Tuesday nights in CBS. So
yeah,
it's a nice little reference point.
Stupid. By the way, our boy Theo talked about that on one of his shows last week. We got to go to full Wednesday fab. I mean, what's the point of doing Tuesday fab? I know you're a proponent of the Tuesday fab. It's crazy. Why not have
I really don't care. It's just
why not have as much information as possible on a Wednesday night after teams actually come and practice on Wednesday for the first time? Nothing happens on Tuesday. You don't have any information on Tuesday nights going into the following week. Why not just make it Wednesday? It doesn't affect you at all. So all these home leagues that are Tuesday, even all my home leagues, other than one, is a Tuesday night fab, pickup, and it's so annoying. All my fab, I think I said it the wrong way. All my home leagues are Wednesday night fab, they should be
backwards.
Yeah. So I mean, Tuesday night fab's a joke. Let's get rid of that and make it Wednesday nights across the board.
It makes it fun.
I digress, Nando. Yeah,
I enjoy it.
Okay.
When you play Monopoly, do you put $500 on free parking?
I don't play Monopoly.
Yes, you do. When you played Monopoly?
Oh, I haven't played Monopoly in a long time. So
when the people you hang out with, do they put $500 in the free parking?
I'll ask them the next time I see them.
When you stand around at parties and watch them play Monopoly and just wish that the symbol could be yours.
Yeah. It was a couple weeks ago. I was at a Monopoly party.
I know you hosted. I can see you walking around hosting.
The girls there were crazy, Nando.
Tell you what, man. I bet you if you threw a Monopoly night at the bar.
Oh, here we go. We're going so off. This is what I missed about you.
Well, you had to be difficult. All you had to say was no. I never put the $500 in because those are the rules of Monopoly. But people do it because they're kind of like the rules of Monopoly, and it just makes the game a little more fun.
How about Adam Thielen, Nando?
No, hold on. I gotta give you the most drops first. Go ahead. I don't care. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Give me the most drop.
Emari
Demarcado.
was rage dropped. I'm sure
One
28%
week,
rage dropped.
1 week wonder. 1 week.
Or was he a 1 week bust?
Yeah, he could be.
What if he comes back and has 113 yards on 13 carries this week? Then what?
Listen, I believe he played the most snaps out of the Arizona backfield, surprisingly.
Right. But I guess you can play snaps if you're not getting the ball. Who cares, right? Like it's
true.
Falcons D, Dolphins D. Anthony Richardson hurt. Jake Ferguson on a bye. Hunter.
Wow,
Henry.
this really helped, huh? 2 defenses and a quarterback that's out for the season. Great job,
you get to the meat in a little while. Do you want me to skip ahead, or you want me to just read the full list?
Actually, names that people actually care about.
Sam P. Ryan was dropped in 9% of leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson was dropped.
All right, so that's a rage. Let's talk about that real quick. Dotson, absolute bust pick so far through 6 weeks. You don't drop a guy like Dotson. You throw him on the end of your bench and you leave him there and you stash him.
And he'll sit there forever and he'll never have a good game.
I find it hard to believe that Jahan Dotson is going to go through a whole season after what he showed us last year, that he's going to struggle all season long. We see it
With
every year.
A different quarterback and a different offensive coordinator?
Yeah, listen, you may be right. Maybe it's just it is a terrible pick so far. But yes, you don't drop a guy like Dotson, because at any point in the next couple of weeks, he could drop a 7 for 85 and a touchdown. And then you're the idiot that dropped a guy like Dotson that you could use. And you're like, oh God, now he's the pickup of the week. So,
and then the next week he's 2 for 23 on 5 targets, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying like when Dotson has that 90-yard game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, isn't it like you'll be chasing that game for 5 weeks and before you know it, you're out of the playoffs?
Too talented of a player to drop unless you're in really shallow leagues, Nando. That's where I leave it. But he shouldn't be anywhere near your starting lineup.
You know who's having Curtis Samuel's having a better season than Jahan Dotson.
He's
a better ad than
he should be in your starting lineup. Although he only had 4 targets, okay? He only had 4 targets last week. He did turn them into 4 for 42 and another touchdown. He keeps getting in the end zone. But you got to like this Washington offense. You know, they play from behind a lot. They didn't this past week, but they're in shootouts. They got a quarterback that's a gunslinger. And, Logan Thomas took the week off this past week, but they're an offense that you want to have pieces of. Surprisingly.
He's among the most dropped. Logan Thomas, Tutu Atwell, Cam Akers, Quentin Johnson, Matt Breida, Kenneth Gainwell.
Those last 5 all should have been dropped, yes.
Dalvin Cook. There you go. All right.
100%.
All right. Let's talk about your guy.
No, I'm just saying, Adam Thielen, you know where he is ranked right now for the season?
Probably 4
PPR leagues.
PPR.
4th in PPR.
Yes, am I right? Really?
Yeah, he's 4th. Right. He's behind Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Keenan Allen. Imagine that. 2 first-rounders and a second-round pick at the receiver position. 3 alpha wide receiver ones that are just studs. And then Adam Thielen is 4th. 21 points per game. Okay? Yeah. 49 catches for 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's got 3 100-yard games. This is the same Adam Thielen that we all gave up on in the offseason. In Minnesota, looked like complete dust. Was starting to get hurt over and over again every year. Thought it was pretty much like a 1-year swan song in Carolina to end his career and maybe like teach the young wide receivers, one of those veteran signings that you look at. And what's happened through the first 6 weeks? The guy's been absolute PPR gold. He's turned into your wide receiver 1 on your team. If you paired him with any of these stud receivers that were gone in the first round, second round like that have been home run picks, you have a deadly duo. I don't see any reason why it would stop going forward. But, that 10th round range was home run city for, wide receivers between Thielen, Nico Collins, who's actually a wide receiver 1. He's PPR wide receiver 11 through the first 6 weeks here. In NFFC scoring, he's 11, and Jacoby Myers is another one. So right in that range of like 100 to 125 overall. Once all the receivers that we were all clamoring for went off the board, this was where you really picked up a league-winning pick at receiver with these 3 guys.
Let me ask you this: we're in a league together. Let's imagine. Boy could be so lucky. But I have Adam Thielen, and you don't. And you just said we have no reason to think that he won't keep this up. What do you think? Like, I mean, would you offer me something for Adam Thielen if your wide receiver room doesn't look great? Like, is he a tradable asset? Because I might give you some
$1 million question. Do you trade away a guy like you? Like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I own Adam Thielen and I'm getting this type of production. Should I sell high now and get it? You know, these questions that you love to ask all the time, Nando, and I hate them because they're so bad.
They're hard. They're not bad. They're hard.
No, they're terrible because you'd.
Why is it terrible?
It's actual. Because you would have to.
I'm sorry. Would you trade for the
names.
top 4 wide receiver?
That's what I'm saying.
First of all, like,
all right, let me ask you this.
No,
let me ask you this.
like
Calvin Ridley has been unproductive. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you trade if I offered you my Adam Thielen for your Calvin Ridley? Would you take it right now? Calvin Ridley was a top 24 overall pick in a what we thought was a big time offense. Would you accept that and buy what you've seen the first 6 weeks and take 10th or 11th round 33-year-old Adam Thielen, dusty old Adam Thielen, getting it done, giving me the numbers that I wanted Calvin Ridley to give me?
Right.
Would you take him? What would you do?
I might. This is my problem.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you don't have an answer.
I don't have an answer, but I'm not trashing the question because it's a hard and a good question. Like, I'm looking ahead to, like, in week 15 and 16, will Adam Thielen be hurt? Will he have worn down a little bit? I don't think so. Will Jacksonville have righted their wrongs and Calvin Ridley's going to go off for these 100? I mean, he's still got rust. Like, but how long does rust last? Into week 7? I don't know, man. Right. Like he's been out for 2 years, and he's the perfect guy to ask about too, because you also got to think he's missing time. Maybe he could get hurt, right? Trevor Lawrence a little banged up. Maybe that's it's.
No, it's the same thing we do with all these players. You know, Kyren Williams has been a 15th round. All my shares of Kyren Williams were 15th, 16th round, right? I have a couple home leagues where I have Kyren Williams. Now, I could have traded Kyren Williams the last couple weeks and got, a stud wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 1, maybe even, But why trade away your home run pick that's a league-winning pick that you got in the 16th round if he's consistently week after week giving you 20-plus points?
Well, that's the question. Is that going to run out?
I know. There's no real answer. If somebody wows you with players that you like, that you think can be consistent for the rest of the season, then you make the trade. If I opened up my inbox and somebody offered me, hey, listen, I want your Adam Thielen that's killing it for Travis Etienne, guy that you took in the 3rd round, the guy, give me him. Give me Etienne. I think I'm going to get that out of Etienne week in and week out. I think he's a top 5 running back rest of the way. I'll take the shot on trading away Thielen that it's not going to be continuous the rest of the year and that it's just an early season. I don't think Adam Thielen at the end of the year is going to be a 1,700-yard wide receiver with 13 touchdowns and 124 catches. Like, I don't think he's Cooper Kupp all of a sudden.
Well, hey, you know what? It's interesting you bring up Cooper Kupp because we saw that question before about the offensive coordinator. No, his OC, I mean, who's been his OC all season, but now he's going to start calling plays, which I assume will, just take some stuff off of Reich to see the rest of the game or whatever. But like, he came from the Rams. I mean, he came from Cooper Kupp University. You know what I mean? Like, this is maybe Thielen's his Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like, look, Bieniemy turned Logan Thomas into like a miniature Travis Kelce, kind of. Yeah. Coming from Kansas City. I mean, these systems work, and you bring the systems over with you, and you see what happens. So
we really need to do a better job in next season and seasons following to, take a real deep dive and look into coaching changes and what, like you just said.
We do that at The Athletic.
No, I know. I know we do, but I'm just saying it's something that a lot of people overlook going into draft season. And it's something that we should really focus on. Logan Thomas wasn't even drafted in 20-round drafts this offseason. But looking at Bieniemy coming over, maybe it's something that we should, hey, you know what? Logan Thomas as my backup tight end. Let's see if, Bieniemy's system translates into Logan Thomas production, because it has so far. So things like that.
not to bring it all back, but
Yeah.
like you look at Atlanta and what they did last year versus what they're doing this year, and it's totally different. You know what I mean? Like last year, Cordero Patterson over the last 2 years has 19 touchdowns. Dude's not even playing. You know what I mean? Like, and I know he was hurt a little bit.
I mean,
but
that's
there's
Bijan. Yeah, but we just drafted
But then
Bijan.
that should be
so,
Bijan Robinson.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like, so where's that? Now they're a split backfield that they didn't have before. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I hear you.
They're not using Kyle Pitts. He had 1,000 yards his rookie year. He's got nothing. You know what I mean? Like what? Like
well, Kyle Pitts is starting to come on a little bit the last 2 weeks. Thank God. Somehow.
Yeah, but not an 1,100 yard season. Not like his
No.
rookie season with the same OC and the same head coach.
Sure. Cooper Kupp, by the way, Nando, unbelievable. Rest of the season, the people that got him in the last couple of weeks after everything went down with his injury in the third and fourth rounds, the teams that paired him with Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, CD Lamb, guys like that in the first round, and you had drafted Cooper Kupp as your wide receiver 2 and sometimes wide receiver 3 on certain teams that I see in my leagues. These teams are going to be the teams that smash. Cooper Kupp just walked right back into being the elite wide receiver 1 that he's been these last bunch of years. So it's crazy that Cooper Kupp, it was so impressive just to see this past week. The rapport that he has with Stafford is like no other quarterback and wide receiver combination.
Legeza wrote something about Stafford. This was weeks ago, saying Stafford's like his dark horse MVP pick because of Kupp coming back. Which I thought it was
dark horse. Yeah, I that's not a crazy statement because Stafford's playing really well. Okay, and he should have had a bigger game this past week versus Arizona, but Puka dropped a couple balls in the end zone. Higbee dropped a couple. There was a lot left on the field. But, I said it with Theo last week. I love this Rams offense going forward. I just wish that Kyren didn't go down with this ankle injury because they had everything you want for a perfect fantasy offense. They had the elite 1 in Kupp going forward, an elite 2 in Puka going forward, an RB1 in Kyren, and a defense that's below average where you're going to see games where they go back and forth and Stafford's end of the day is 350 and 3 touchdowns and Kupp's blowing up and giving 30 fantasy points. It's just the perfect scenario offense-wise that the Rams were in with Kyren healthy.
I got something that you just sprung into my head that you just tapped my tummy with. Van Jefferson. We're talking about Jahan Dotson.
You're a sick freak, Nando.
What are you talking about?
Tap your tummy.
Tap your tummy. When you sit back, you tap your tummy with your hands. Van Jefferson, maybe like a bust. I hate calling guys a bust.
This is the second one.
Is he like? At what point? Everyone's like, oh, Van Jefferson. Puka came out of nowhere, and Atwell was always kind of in the mix, but it was always like assuming that Van Jefferson was going to take over that Cooper Kupp role, and he was going to be the number 2, right? Jahan Dotson, to me, feels kind of like he's going down a Van Jefferson route, where it's like, at a certain point, we got to say, the talent's not going to mean something. Like, you just got to show me at some point, and you've got to have like the 313-yard games, or like a 113, like a 72, or even like a 65 and a touchdown, and an 81 and a touchdown. With like 10, 9 targets at least. Van Jefferson, we put all this faith in him and he never did it. Like Jahan Dotson feels like he's going the same kind of way for me. That's why I'm off Jahan Dotson. I'm sorry. That should have been like 20 minutes ago, but I wasn't thinking about Van Jefferson.
Yeah, we're back on the Washington offense again. This is the topic of the day for Nando. Loving that Washington offense, huh?
Antonio Gibson's looking all right. Eric Bieniemy, I believe in. You know what I mean?
No, he's not. You know what? I want to see in a game like last week's. In a game like last week's, I would have liked to see more out of Brian Robinson. Only 10 carries for 31 yards in a game that they were winning. Like, you got to give me more than that, Brian Robinson.
Where do you want to go now? I have ideas, but you make fun of them every time I bring up like the Packers.
Well, the Packers coming off a bye. It's another crappy offense, Nando.
That's weird, right?
It's another crappy offense. They come out of the bye. I don't think you're going to get the return you wanted. You definitely didn't so far on Christian Watson. Yeah. Aaron Jones keeps getting banged up. The last time we saw Romeo Doubs gave a one catch for like 2-yard game versus the Raiders. It's just an offense that's, I feel like half the league is terrible fantasy offenses now. The Packers are one of those teams that you just don't want to watch every week. They're going to be in low-scoring games. And I'm not high on anybody. If you have Aaron Jones, I'd be looking to sell now. I don't know what you could get for him, but if he gives you one, if you can, if
you get Adam Thielen for him,
maybe, but I doubt it. I'm not an Aaron Jones owner, but I'm not high on Aaron Jones. I have no shares of him, but he keeps getting banged up. And if he has one good game, I'd be looking to move him before he gets hurt again.
Where are you on Malik Willis? Let's just talk about. I know you hate two quarterback and
no, I'm not talking to Malik Willis. That's useless. That Malik Willis is a useless. He's a terrible, terrible quarterback, and he shouldn't be he shouldn't be rostered. They're going into their bye week, and Tannehill will probably be back anyway after that. So DeAndre Hopkins, complete. It's been a terrible season for him so far.
Yeah.
He went to the wrong situation, and he needs Tannehill to even maybe salvage anything. He only had one catch for 20 yards, even though Willis came in and played the fourth. If Willis is the quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins is unplayable going forward. So that's just that game was so bad. Another London bust game, early morning game. The Ravens left so much out on the table. Lamar Jackson should have had a 40-point type of fantasy game, but they just kept stalling in the red zone. And, it's just that offense is so close, I feel like, to taking the next step.
Right.
It was so bad of a called game by your boy Monken. Okay. Where Lamar was. It was your boy Todd Monken. Just Lamar Jackson came out of the game. It came, into the game. He was humming the first quarter, throwing the ball all over the place. The Titans couldn't contain Zay Flowers, and Odell even had a nice catch. They couldn't do much containing Lamar Jackson passing. So what does he do? He goes and calls like 3 or 4 straight run plays to Gus Edwards for like 2 yards. The backfield's a complete mess.
Yeah. What do you think of Keaton?
Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell.
I've heard his name so much the last 2 weeks.
Everybody's talking about Keaton Mitchell, Nando, right? And we all stashed him, me included. I have a ton of Keaton Mitchell shares just because I have a ton of Justice Hill shares. So if you look at my teams across the board, Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell are either one of them's on my team or both of them, just because I'm trying to hopefully have a backfield, pop and emerge. And the Ravens backfield is what I wanted to invest in. I was hoping Justice Hill became the clear lead guy. I'm hoping that Keaton Mitchell eventually, hopefully starting this week, gets, a handful of carries and pops. And they're like, all right, let's run with this maybe and see. And he slowly starts to be the lead guy.
I don't know, man.
Just Gus Edwards. We've seen enough. We've seen enough of Gus Edwards, man. We've seen enough of him. At least Hill and hopefully, and Keaton Mitchell, his reputation, he's got juice, He's got the speed. So let's put one of these guys in the backfield 70% of the time and enough. Gus Edwards had, I want to say, did Gus Edwards have like 14 carries this past week?
Edwards is like 14, 13, 15. He's very consistent, man. And I mean,
but for nothing, he had 16 carries for 41 yards this past week. I mean, enough is enough. How much did we have to see? Just let Lamar cook a little bit here. We got some weapons here. Zay Flowers is a stud. Yeah. Mark Andrews needs to start going back to being Mark Andrews. I hope Monken doesn't ruin this guy because Mark
it's like Andrews, you said, man. It's everyone was like, "Oh, thank God we got rid of Greg Roman. Now we have Todd Monken." And it's
I know, but when Monken came in, we thought, all right, this is a huge upgrade for Lamar. He's going to throw more. They're going to go 3 wide. It's going to be, no huddle. It's just I feel like every week they're close to having that 35-point game, but Monken's play calling just boggles them down. Like I said, there's no reason that he should have been calling some run plays when they get inside the 10 and it was like run on first down, run again on second down, and then throw it away on third down and then kick a field goal. Tucker kicked 6 field goals last week. Just absolutely ridiculous. So hopefully they start turning the backfield over to Hill or maybe even Keaton Mitchell, fade Gus Edwards out of this offense a little bit, and put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. It's still nice to see Lamar Jackson got like 12 or 13 carries on his own. So he's still getting it done with his legs. And every week he's just right there. He has that 25 point per game performance, but comes up short from that explosion game that makes him like a top 3 quarterback every week.
Who was that Bucs coach before? Like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. He was a great offensive coordinator who couldn't handle it. But I was thinking him when I think of Todd Monken. Yeah, who was the Bucs coach? The guy he was like Dirk Cutter.
Dirk Cutter. Oh God,
this team needs Dirk Cutter.
Yeah,
or like
okay.
Todd Haley.
Dirk
it's a shame like Todd Haley did that ridiculous.
Dirk Cutter is so gone out of the league now. Oh my God,
Is Dirk Cutter like an XFL coach?
Oh, probably.
He was a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah, you love Dirk Cutter.
He most recently served as the interim offensive coordinator at Boise State.
Interim. Oh my God, what a fall from grace.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
That's crazy.
He was good.
Nando, before we get out of here,
what happened to Dirk Cutter?
I know the people are clamoring for my bets, my picks of the week here. After going 3-0 last week, Nando, I had the Browns money line I gave out on this show, as well as the Ravens and the Rams. So before we get out of here, I gotta tell you, this week I'm loving the Saints on Thursday night.
All right.
Tomorrow night. It's a perfect situation, in my opinion. Jags come off a bunch of wins in a row. They're banged up. Trevor Lawrence, a little bit of a knee sprain. This team doesn't impress me offensively. You're going on the road in a short week versus a good defensive team in the Saints, who are coming off a couple losses. I think they bounce back nicely. They pull out a win on Thursday night. That's my top play.
Wait, are the Jags just coming off 2 London games in a row too?
No, not 2.
No, 2 London games. All right.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. No, you're right. They had 2. They had 2 London games. They were in London for 2 straight weeks, right?
Yeah, and then they had a game, and then they
went back home. Yeah, then they went back home, played the Colts, and now they got to go on the road. So at some point, they're going to run out of steam. This is the perfect week after 3 long weeks to run out of steam and give back a win. To a non-division, an NFC team. This isn't a team that they get up for. So it's a perfect scenario there. I'm shocked at the line. I know that everybody's in love with the Miami Dolphins, Nando, right? And I've seen actually some people say, how is Miami the underdog to Philly, who just lost to the Jets? Well, Philly's a great team. They go back home. This Miami defense can be had. I love Philly laying a small number, 1.5 or 2, depending on where you get it. The Eagles at home on Sunday night they're going to be wearing those awesome green uniforms that I don't know if you saw.
Oh, that's guaranteed win then.
Oh, those crazy old school bright green. I know
the Randall
uniform.
Cunningham ones.
Yeah, the Randall Cunningham. Yeah, I'm shocked. This has been so many weeks in a row of A.J. Brown, huge performances. And I know I keep saying Devonta Smith is due. And I'm going to keep going right back to that. Devonta Smith had 11 targets, even though he had 4 catches for 42 yards. This is another perfect game where hopefully we see a lot of points in this game. Devonta Smith has got to have one of those 7 for 110 and a touchdown or 2 type games coming. Hopefully it's this week. I love Philly at home, laying the small number. And then just like the Browns last week, I got to give you an underdog money line type pick. And I know I picked on the Chiefs earlier in the show. Chargers always play them well, Nando. And they're only
Justin Herbert's your number 1 quarterback.
Yeah, buddy. I like the Chargers with the points and money line to go into Kansas City and upset the Chiefs. So there you have it. Those are that's my 3-pack. Nando,
the Vaccaro
3-pack for the gamblers out there.
Why don't we call it the V's 3?
Yeah, well, you can work on that, buddy. You can work.
Well, because V rhymes with 3. Oh, Chris Vaccaro.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, we got to do some work. Yeah, we got to do some work on that one. But
all right, here are my 17 picks for this week. I'm going to start with
rattle them off.
Here's the thing. I just want to throw this one out there because I think I've been giving you live updates with my betting, and instead of my $3 parlays, what I like doing is bringing lines.
I love those. In the middle of Sunday. No, I love when I get that text message in the middle of football on Sunday, and you look at this one. Should I cash out my $3 parlay?
Yeah, for $21. Yes,
21. Should I cash out for $11? I love getting those. Nothing.
And you give
nothing
no good
aggravates
advice.
me. Nothing aggravates me more. Oh, I don't respond to them, but I read them.
I guess that's touching. What aggravates you less?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nothing.
$500 in free parking. When somebody takes the train from you.
Listen, let's just hope that week 7 isn't. Let's just hope we don't see as much bad football in this upcoming week that we did in week 6, because week 6 was one of the worst days of watching football that I could remember in a long time. And the schedule doesn't look good for this upcoming week. There's a couple good games in the late window. And like I said, everybody's going to be pointed to that Sunday nighter with Philly and Miami. That's the main event. And but wait, by the way, before we go real quick, Nando.
Yeah, keep going because I can't find the video to get us out of here yet.
Okay, good. I will. This is crazy to me. I just saw last night. It dawned on me. I heard it mentioned on a show that in 2 weeks from now, the not the London games, but now we have 2 Germany games that are coming back on November 5th and 12th. But they'll still be starting in the early window at 9:30 in the morning on the East Coast.
Marcus Kuhn, your boy.
Cool. Yes. So
you remember him? You love.
Do you know who's playing in 2 weeks in Germany, 9:30 in the morning?
Probably Atlanta. They got some big German tie.
No, bad guess.
Probably
the
the
Miami
Chargers.
Dolphins.
All
right, stop guessing. Let me actually tell you.
You asked me to guess.
Miami
What do you
Dolphins.
want me to do?
I know, but you can't just name every football team. Miami Dolphins
the
and the
Chargers make
Kansas
sense.
City Chiefs.
Oh, that'd be
Chargers aren't one of them. Jesus Christ. You're a bad listener.
I'm a good listener.
The Chiefs and the Dolphins, the AFC game of the year.
Yes.
How are we giving this game to Germany? 9:30 in the morning. You know the game's going to be messed up. If these games that are overseas are always like a clunker. Okay, we never get like what we expect. These games, they probably go over there. They do what these teams do. They better get there early in the week because just like the Titans and the Bills, the last couple of weeks, they come out, looking like crap because they got there on Thursday. The Dolphins and the Chiefs, here's a heads up to you. Get there on like Monday or Tuesday and get, adjusted to the time change and everything. But to have a Miami-Kansas City game, man, I wish the NFL could pull an audible, flex that game out and make it like the Sunday night game that week because that'd be an unbelievable game for us to watch. But instead, we got to get up at Sunday morning and probably watch a 17-13 crap fest between 2 really good teams.
Then it shouldn't be a crap fest. A carpenter never blames his tools, Chris. Or her tools.
Wow.
A good carpenter.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Let's get out of here. I found the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
No, I lost it. Well, here we go.
Oh, wait. Somebody... Lance in our chat, by the way, everybody, in our chat today, thanks for tuning in. It said, Lance, it'd be great to hear Nando say more than 5 words.
Yes.
That's such a burner account for you.
That's what I've been doing is putting up comments
you're
as Lance England on our YouTube page.
Yes. That's the best you could come up with, Lance England.
Yeah,
a fake
picture.
Nice.
I like that, yeah. He's a good-looking man.
We
got to get out of here.
You spoke plenty this show.
If Lance doesn't think so, then I don't think so either. So he's right. It would be nice to be able to talk more than 5 minutes on this show.
Well, take us out.
End screen. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Chris Vaccaro. We're going to have a lunch next week. You promised we could talk about it, and then you didn't. So, bye.
The choice is yours.